Hello. Welcome to another episode of Real Talk with Shawn Smith. On today's episode is a Sport Talk Edition episode. I have a guest here, and he used to be on the radio version of this show. He gonna introduce himself.
Yes, sir. I am Jett Nelson. It's good to be with you again, Shawn. I didn't mean to take this long. We needed a sports episode sooner than this, but we'll have some more coming out. But I'm Jett Nelson. I've been this UTA radio sports director for close to 2 years now. Final semester coming up.
Yeah.
About to join him in the graduation club. But yeah, it's been a fun time. UTA sports is kind of peaking right now, and the sports world is just exploding with college football.
Yeah.
The Cowboys are on a rocky road. So around the area, there's a lot going on for sure.
Yeah, man, I'm so happy to have you on here.
Oh yeah, it's always a fun one. I remember we had to think one of your family members on
my
there.
little brother.
Your brother was on there. Yeah, it was a blast, man. So yeah, this is always a good time.
Yeah. So tell me, man, with the Cowboys, you know, it had not been a good season for them.
Oh, yeah. So I think you got to look at the big picture. Is that the general manager, president of everything, Jerry Jones? He just dropped the ball from the beginning, and you just kind of saw that snowball effect kind of take over because signing Ezekiel Elliott was the first thing I saw where I was like, are we sure about this, Jerry? Because Zeke was averaging 1.2 or 1.3 yards per carry with New England for those couple years after he left Dallas. So then you already had Rico Dowdle, who didn't really meet his potential this year or in the seasons before with Dallas. So adding Ezekiel Elliott felt like a mistake. Signing Dak Prescott to the highest quarterback salary in NFL history seemed a little sketchy there because he's already dealt with 2 season-ending injuries. Now he's got a third added to his, line of injuries. And so when you count Dak Prescott being out for the rest of this year, no running game to begin with. DeMarcus Lawrence and Micah Parsons missed a lot of time this year. So injuries are going to happen.
Yeah.
The front office wasn't ready to deal with that. And the head coach, Mike McCarthy, wasn't ready to deal with that. Everything just slid downhill. And now they're finding a way to win a few games.
Yeah.
They beat Washington in an upset. They beat the Giants twice now this year. And so it's like, at 5-8, it just seems like, why? What's the point of keep trying?
So do you think that they are going to the playoffs this season?
Very unlikely. I don't think so. I saw the post today from ESPN/SportsCenter, and it said, here's how the Cowboys can make the playoffs. Number 1, they have to win their next 3 games, which is Tampa Bay, Philadelphia, and Washington. Cowboys will be an underdog in all 3 of those games. Then they need Philadelphia to lose the last 3 games, with Tampa Bay losing at least 2, and then not a single team in the NFC West can have a better record than 8-9, which is technically possible, but I wouldn't put any money on that. Not a chance, man.
Not a chance, because every time when they go to the playoffs, they lose.
Right. Yep. And it'll be so embarrassing too. It'll be in AT&T Stadium, a team that Dallas is favored over, and then you have those weird plays like Zeke trying a wildcat formation against San Francisco or something. It's almost remarkable how they lose in those playoff games too. It's a tough side.
Every year, us as Cowboys fans, we always say they gonna be going to the Super Bowl.
Yes.
It never happens.
And normally we have reason to believe it, but like last year, that was the 3rd straight 12-5 season under McCarthy. Then it just plundered. We're on pace now for 5-12. So a complete flip flop. I hope McCarthy gets fired. I've never liked his play calling. I've never liked his style with the players. He focuses on his main guys. He doesn't make it a team effort. And so I've always thought that was a big question mark for me, really.
Yeah. So you think they should get another head coach?
Yeah, there's one that's a coordinator right now, Ben Johnson of the Detroit Lions, and his offense is ranked first in the NFL in pretty much every category. There's give or take on a few. But in terms of passing yards per game and points per game, the Detroit Lions are the best in the NFL. They had one hiccup against Chicago on Thanksgiving, but they still found a way to win that game. Obviously, they're going to re-sign Dan Campbell, but their offensive coordinator, Ben Johnson, he's looking for a bigger salary and bigger opportunities, and there's no place bigger than Dallas, I think. So if we can get him out of his contract, that would be fantastic.
Yeah.
But right now, if McCarthy wins enough games, it's going to be tough to say we have to fire him.
Yeah.
That's what's tricky.
Yeah. Unfortunately, it don't look like the Cowboys would go to the playoffs. Unfortunately.
Yeah, no, it's not looking like
But yeah. So what about the Texans? They going to the playoffs.
They look really good.
Yeah.
They're just on an uphill. Like the Cowboys are like this. The Texans, they're going up like this. C.J. Stroud. They got Tank Dell back from injury. Yeah, a lot of things are just rolling in their direction. Nico Collins. So their offense is rolling really high. I want to see their defense take a step up, I think. They're getting into those like shootout style games where both offenses are getting electric going back and forth. So I think if they, level up their defense a little bit, I think it's just in the secondary. Just not letting too many big passes through the air. Their run defense is pretty solid. We haven't seen anyone really tear them apart up front. So if the Texans can just figure out those deep threats from their opponents, then yeah, they're even better than they already are.
Yeah. So do you think they going to the Super Bowl?
It's a tough call right here. I'd have to look at the remaining schedule, but as long as they take care of the NFC South, they'll get at least a top 4 seed in the playoffs, and that's something they can work with. They'll start the playoffs in NRG Stadium too, so that's at least very favorable for them. In terms of making the Super Bowl, there's a lot of solid teams in the AFC, but they are going to be one of the top 4 there. I'd have to go run through, and I mean, obviously, if they go up against Kansas City, there's a problem there. Kansas City is rolling high right now. I guess you could say their offense has looked better in years past with Mahomes. Kelsey's having a down year, but they're just finding ways. They've only lost 1 game this year. And that's exactly why they're my Super Bowl pick. I've tried picking against Kansas City for the Super Bowl, but now they've beaten San Francisco twice.
Yeah, and I don't know, it just like it be the same team in the Super Bowl.
Right. There's not much variety like there should be, yeah.
And somebody say maybe Taylor Swift had predicted that.
I think they finally figured out that situation. Like a year ago, it was like Kansas City would score a touchdown. You wouldn't see the players, you'd see Taylor Swift. But they finally figured that one out a little bit. They're showing the players again. And it's kind of not as explosive as it was last year. But I don't know. It makes sense. We're media people, If Taylor Swift's in our podcast, she is the focus,
Yeah, trust me, those numbers will go
way
up.
If Taylor was
These
on here,
trolls will come on.
Here's the formal invitation for Taylor Swift. Yeah, that would be incredible. But yeah, if it's against Kansas City, sorry, Houston. Maybe they could pull off the upset, but they're definitely the underdog in that game.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Because when they was in the playoffs last season, bro,
right.
I tell you, they got beat by Ravens.
Right. And the Ravens are another good team as well. They're on pace to, the Steelers are fighting for them there in the AFC North. But yeah, with Lamar Jackson, they used to have J.K. Dobbins, but they're always the nice running the ball type of offense, and always a smash mouth type of defense too. So yeah, there's always a lot of competition in the AFC. The NFC, that's where it gets a little hard to predict.
Yeah.
The NFC South team, most likely Tampa Bay or Atlanta's not going to be very good. They should be an early exit from the playoffs. Maybe Philadelphia takes control of the playoffs on the NFC side out of the East.
Yeah.
The NFC West is a just dumpster fire. I don't know. None of the teams there have a winning record. San Francisco isn't even good. But the NFC North is where it gets really competitive. You have Green Bay, you have Detroit. Even the Vikings started the season 5-0, 6-0. So, yeah, that's where things get really interesting, the NFC North.
Yeah. So in the NFL, what's the leading team right now?
Leading team, I believe it's Detroit.
Oh, Detroit.
Either Detroit or Green Bay. I'd have to look it up, but they're both in double-digit wins right now. I think Detroit has at least 11. They were 11-2, 10-2, and then Green Bay's right behind them, maybe 9-3, somewhere in that range. So there's only there's been more games than that. We're in like week 14 here. There's only a few more weeks to go. But yeah, those two teams are really performing highly. Philadelphia is coasting straight to an NFC East division title with Jalen Hurts, and I believe they still had Nelson Aguilar. No, not Nelson Aguilar. They have a high-flying offense as well, but their defense led by Jalen Carter. They're a team to look out for. But yeah, back in the AFC, the Texans are going to be a high-flying offense. Who else is out there in the AFC? We have the AFC West. I mean, there's Kansas City. The Chargers even had a better year. They could be a friend. Oh, even the Broncos. I think the Broncos are a French playoff team. They're in the hunt for sure. Who am I missing here? AFC East. I think the Dolphins are leading that. No, the Bills are leading that division. Josh Allen. He's got that team rolling pretty good. But Josh Allen, he never meets Patrick Mahomes' level. As soon as they meet in the playoffs, Kansas City has won just about every time. It's hard to explain that one, but yeah, if I had to just pick a straight leader in the NFL right now, it's the Detroit Lions. They're well coached. They're rolling. Their offense is scoring a lot of points. It's just hard for any other team to keep up with them. Yeah.
So, your pick, do you think they will possibly be in the Super Bowl?
I think I know they're going to be in the Super Bowl. They're just, there's always that question mark. As soon as a team reaches the postseason, everything's kind of changed. Detroit will be at home for their first playoff game. I'm assuming they would get the first round bye by winning the NFC, but there's a chance that when the pressure's on their shoulders, they have a tougher time. So it reminds me of this is towards baseball, but the Los Angeles Dodgers. Yeah. They would be the best team in the regular season, reach the playoffs, and almost get swept in the first round. So it's like, how does that happen? It's just maybe the pressure, there's not an empty seat in the stadium, and sometimes that hurts a team. They just kind of lose their momentum. But I just can't see that happening to Detroit right now. Maybe if they faced Green Bay, that could trip them up, but no other team. I mean, they beat Dallas 47-9.
Yeah.
If they can do that to bad teams, they're not struggling much this year. I see them making it up the way.
Yeah. And they pay these football players a lot.
So much money, man. I mean, I could go through the whole NFL, but with Dak it was almost 336 million? I think between 4 years, that made him even more paid per year than Patrick Mahomes on a 10-year salary for $860 million. It's like, can I just get one of those million, please? That would change my life. Oh my goodness! But yeah, I mean, baseball gets even crazier. There's not even a cap limit on that sport. Shohei Ohtani got
Texas Rangers, man, they didn't do too good this season.
They should have spent more. I mean, it was kind of expected though. Once you win the World Series, you have to start saving money a little bit. So they didn't go out and get a whole lot of free agents. Injuries hit really bad with DeGrom and other guys, but there's no reason why they can't compete again this year. I think. I mean, Corey Seager's going to be back. Wyatt Langford's going to be back. Who else is over there? Nathan Eovaldi. He's coming back. His ERA went up to the 4s this year, but he still had a great year, a winning record for the Rangers. So I have my eye on them. Don't worry, because they still have Bruce Bochy. It might be his last season managing. I think he's up to 74 years old. He's kind of walking slow now. I'm worried about him, but he wants to get up one more year, finish out his contract with Texas, and that's pretty much all of the main pieces. Wyatt Langford got signed after. Oh no, Wyatt Langford was maybe he was in the farm system for the World Series, but I mean, all of the same pieces are pretty much there. Adolis Garcia, he's back. Pitching is still going to be the question mark. We need our bullpen to figure things out. Leclerc looked really bad this year. I think he ended up moving down to AAA at one point. But yeah, they still got a solid system rolling. I'm impressed with the Rangers right now.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, who won? You know, I didn't watch the World Series.
It was a fun one. I didn't watch every game of it, but it was the Los Angeles Dodgers up against the New York Yankees. So that was like a phenomenal historic matchup. The Yankees lead the MLB with like 27 World Series titles, and then the Dodgers have been, I mentioned them earlier, they've been struggling making it to the World Series. This is the first time since, I believe, 2012 or 13 they've been back in the Fall Classic. And so, yeah, it was really fun to just see that matchup. You had such great players. Freddie Freeman ended up winning the MVP there for the Dodgers, but you still had Aaron Judge and a slew of great players there over in New York. And so we saw an Ice Cube performance before the game in Game 1, man. Pop culture was going crazy for it. But ultimately, the Yankees went up to a 3-1 game lead. And then I believe it went down to Game 7. No. I don't know if I'm remembering it properly, but the Dodgers were trailing in the series and came back to tie it and then win it in like Game 5 or 6. Maybe 7. I'd have to go back and look. I don't have it on the top of my head. But yeah, it was, no one expected, once the Yankees got out in front, no one expected the Dodgers to be able to find their way back into it, and really impressive. And Freddie Freeman, he dealt with injuries. He had a family issue with his daughter, and so I would be upset if he didn't win the MVP for it. Yeah.
Well.
There were some other candidates, so I'll give you that.
Yeah. People say that they prefer to go to the baseball game, watch in person instead of
Oh, absolutely. Me too. Yeah. They're trying to fix it. They installed the pitch clock a couple of years ago. So they're trying to speed the game up, and there's something else they did. The pitch clock. You can't leave the batter's box. You see guys, I'm going to fix my gloves here. I'm going to do all this. And so they fixed that aspect. So the game is a little faster. But yeah, I think even if they didn't change all that stuff for TV, going to the ballpark is just so much better.
Yeah, it's anyways, more fun.
And it's because
that energy.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Hearing the crack of the bat, the pops of the gloves, man. Yeah. That's just something you can't find anywhere else. And on top of that, it's like the reason I haven't been to a Cowboy game is because a nosebleed is $230.
Whoa, yeah.
And for a Ranger game, you can get in for like $30 for a high seat. Maybe see if there's an empty one down there a little bit. And yeah, the great food there. There's a Whataburger inside of Texas Stadium.
That's why, by the way, UTAU state graduation.
Right. Oh yeah. Yeah. So yeah, it's always a better experience in my mind. Yeah.
Yeah. So on to college football.
Oh man, my favorite.
Yeah. As you know, I was in Atlanta a couple of weeks ago, and the Texas was in Atlanta.
Right.
Yeah. We thought that they was gonna win. Yep. Come to find out, Georgia had won.
Georgia has just been a thorn in their side, man. Texas cannot just seem to meet the mark against them. Yeah. But it makes sense. Kirby Smart won back-to-back national titles in 21 and 22. And so I wasn't too shocked, but now Texas has a big opportunity here. They get the 5 seed, which means they get to play a struggling Clemson team who did upset SMU in their conference title game. But then they get to face the 3rd seed in Arizona State, which is a team that Texas will be heavily favored against. Then they have to play Oregon. So that's where, assuming Oregon advances in the playoffs, which they should, they're the number 1 team, hasn't lost a game this year. But that's when things get really tricky. But just looking at the first game, this is where Quinn Ewers, the quarterback there, needs to elevate. Because he's been throwing off of his back foot a lot. Granted, his offensive line lost Kelvin Banks, and that's always going to cause a problem for an offense.
Yeah.
But he just isn't throwing the ball really well. He had an oblique injury around week 5 or 6, and he missed a couple games. But he also has Arch Manning, the nephew of Eli and Peyton Manning, sitting right there behind him as the second string. And so Texas fans have been very heavy on the coaching staff, saying we need to see Arch if Quinn Ewers struggles any more than he already is. But I think Quinn will start this game. But if we saw it in the first matchup. Georgia and Texas played in week 7, I want to say, and Arch Manning ended up replacing Quinn. He just wasn't playing very well. And I wouldn't be surprised if we see this against Clemson. But fun fact, Quinn Ewers and Clemson's quarterback, Cade Klubnik, faced each other in the Texas high school playoffs in 2020, where Cade Klubnik and Westlake beat Southlake Carroll and Quinn Ewers. So there's a little bit of personal aspects to this one that'll make it a fun game.
Yeah, man. But those Texas fans, they was all over Atlanta.
Oh, yeah.
From the airport, it was ready for their team to win.
Oh, yeah. Well, Texas fans have been waiting. And this is the first time since, I believe, 2008 and 2009, where Texas has a legitimate shot at the national title game. They do have to get through the playoffs, but, we're going back to when Colt McCoy was the quarterback there, to the last time Texas was this good at football. You had Charlie Strong there as their head coach for a little bit after Mac Brown, Tom Herman. Nobody seemed to be able to get it done. Then Steve Sarkisian, has the personal issues, drank a little too much, and then he finds a way to just lead this Texas team. And, they've been able to reach new heights. They're starting to recruit better as well. There was a long time where Texas A&M moved to the SEC. Now Texas has ended up following them. But players in Texas were like, I want to go play Alabama. I want to go play against Ole Miss and all these teams. And so Texas was having to look out of state to find better players. Now they're able to just look out their back window and find 5-star players again. I think Texas is going to be good for close to a decade. They've established themselves as a program so much to where they're going to be hard to stop year in and year out.
Yeah. And I know you're going to watch this, Shawn. You go to UT Austin. I know you feel some type of way because they lost on that Saturday. But Georgia is good.
And there's no doubt about it. It's their defense. Texas's defense is good too, but Georgia's they only allowed like 1.2 yards per carry on the ground there. So that's what I need to see. If Texas wants to win that game, they have to be able to run the ball well.
Yeah. But
Clemson's defense nowhere near Georgia's defense. So
now to our TCU.
Oh yeah. They. I'm pretty sure they went 5. I don't know if they made a bowl game, right? I think they went 5-7. I think it's going to start with recruiting. Yeah. That's where they need to just start looking. I mean, they're in the Fort Worth area, Dallas, Fort Worth. I guess SMU kind of takes over the Dallas market there. Yeah. But TCU has a strong fan base. They have a lot of money within that program. I think they're more expensive to attend than Harvard right now.
Yeah.
They're an expensive program, and so if they can just figure out a way to access the transfer portal with those types of funds, I mean, the options are limitless there at TCU. But I think it's just so strange because you look just 3 years ago, TCU was a top team to win the national title. And they just weren't ever able to replicate that. I'm not sure why.
When they got to the end, I forgot who they played against. Did they play against Georgia?
Georgia. Yep.
Oh, yeah, Georgia.
It was in the national title game, and Georgia, I think it was like 66-7. I want to say somewhere in that range.
Yeah.
But everyone was shocked when they took down Michigan. Michigan was it was just a better matchup for the Wolverines there. Their defense was just was really prepared to stop a running quarterback like Max Duggan in that situation, and TCU just found a way. I think it was on a game-winning field goal too. What a great game that was. But in terms of the overall thing there for TCU, they weren't able to keep those players, I guess. I think too many people left.
Yeah.
But Sonny Dykes is a good coach, I feel like.
Did they transfer to like professional?
Right. A lot of guys graduated and went to the NFL, so that's always going to hurt a team. But the fact that they saw what TCU was able to accomplish and not bring players back into the program, or even just incoming freshmen, it baffles me. I'm not quite sure what happened, but I think Sonny Dykes is a good coach. I think they have things it's all in front of them. The Big 12 is a growing conference that they're in.
Yeah.
And so, but Baylor's on the rise, Colorado's on the rise. So they have their work cut out for them. They just got to start winning some games.
Yeah. Hopefully that they can get it together.
Oh, yeah.
I had not been watching TCU
games. Me neither much. They just weren't getting the prime TV slots. They just weren't earning that position anymore. Yeah. So, but I think they're still on big TV a little bit, but at least, or worst case, local. We're just right down the highway from them.
So a lot of people have a question since we at UTA.
Oh yeah.
Do you think UTA will ever get a football team?
Yeah, in the terms of ever, yes, there will be a football team here one day. I mean, the school is expanding so much. We've seen them. They're going to start a campus outside of Fort Worth called UTA West. I mean, there's a lot of money within this program, and we're seeing that within the team's performances. We just watched UTA volleyball win their first conference title since 2002. And we're watching basketball. Men's basketball just reached a 6-6 record, and they were second place in the conference last year. They lost to GCU in the conference title game, and then the women's they were fourth in their in the WAC conference last year. So we're seeing the athletics department as a whole get better funds due to the name, image, likeness aspect of things, and teams being able to raise money. And so we're actually attracting players, which is something that UT Arlington has always been struggling to do. That's the hard thing. If we build a stadium, if we put a team together, our players going to want to come to Arlington and play here, which is a little surprising. Thinking, hey, you don't want to check out Globe Life Field or AT&T Stadium? Like Arlington is such a sports area, and it's strange that UTA doesn't really lean on that at all. But I think it's going to take some time. A lot of people used to say 2030. That's when a football team should be here. I think it's later than that. I think it's closer to 2040. This program just needs to grow. If you want to help UTA get a football team, start attending every game you can.
Yes.
That's what they look for. That's what the big debate is. They're saying, well, if we build a stadium, it's going to be half empty. We can change that.
Yeah.
We can start coming to games. We can start packing the stands, and then when they see that, they'll be like, well, let's build this stadium. Fans are going to fill it up. That's the biggest thing. If you want UTA to have a football team, start attending. Students get in free.
Yeah.
It's only like a $7 ticket if you're not a student. So come on down, get over here, and that's how we start getting a football team over here.
And we will also make that as the stable of homecoming.
Right.
Basketball.
Yeah. Homecoming with basketball, it's unique. There's no way around it. Yeah, it's
because
unique.
I went the only time I went to the UTA's basketball game was homecoming.
Right.
Yeah.
That was a pretty good game. It was Louisiana Tech came in and actually defeated the Mavericks, but it was a hard-fought game. But the reason I think UTA struggled in that game was because we were missing Lance Ware. Lance Ware is checked into the Mavericks off of injury from the injury list, and he's 6'10", close to 200 pounds, and he can dunk like nobody's business, man. He can just get up, and it sets a tone for the offense that UTA has been missing this year. He's actually, had a good connection with head coach KT Turner from his years at Kentucky. And then he transferred to Villanova, so he has such a veteran experience that he brings to the team. And so now that UTA can kind of guard the paint a lot better and score in the interior as well, they're improving quickly. And it's only about a month until we get into conference play.
Yeah.
So UTA is worth your watch now. That's the thing that's changed. You mentioned it's like UTA isn't that entertaining. I don't blame you. It's
UTA
they're on the rise though. They're on the rise.
I would say it's more like a commute.
Right.
Yeah.
There's not a lot of people that live on this campus, and so there's just not a whole lot of people right down the street. That's what's tough about UTA. A lot of people drive here, sometimes from like all the way as far as like McKinney or something. I've heard people driving all the way here for school. So, somehow we just have to tap into that fan base around here. There are some loyal fans, but only a handful. That's the issue,
Yeah, UTA is not that popular.
No, yeah, not like we should be. Maybe volleyball picks that with a conference title, but in terms of the department as a whole, we need some changes. The good thing is pretty much all of our sports teams love to schedule big games. Like both baseball and softball face Oklahoma this year, which is a big name. Baseball faces Texas in their baseball program. Volleyball played USC in the NCAA tournament. So we're seeing our name get thrown around the big screen, but it's just not far enough.
Yeah.
We need better reach. We need more people knowing what UTA is.
And also the biggest thing is also here is the track team too.
Right. I need to look more into their stuff, but they're performing well. There's no doubt about that. They have I believe this is for women's track, but Metro Chikemboy, she was breaking records left and right last spring, so she's probably ready to get rolling now that the weather hopefully will warm up here soon. But that's where track really shines. The weather warms up, and Chikemboy, there's some other players too who really like to shine in the spring. So UTA track, they're always bringing some records around here.
Yeah, and by the way, I had interviewed like 4 male track stars here.
Oh yeah, all right.
They been on this podcast this season.
Oh, sweet, yeah, they're happy to get some attention. They need more of it for sure.
Yeah.
I wish, I do the UTA radio stuff, so I would think, I don't know how I would commentate track, I guess. Down the lane goes Chikemboy or something. I just have no experience with it. I wouldn't know what to say. Because I know they have, commentators for the Olympics and stuff, but I just have no training. I have no experience with that, but I would love to get the shot at it if track would like some sports commentating going on there. So never say never.
Yeah, never say never for real. So before we go,
I was about to check the time. Yeah, we know.
What time is it?
About 15 minutes.
About 15, cool. So, okay, we're going to be talking about it's FFL, right? SFL.
XFL. Oh, yeah. The Arlington Renegades.
Did they combine?
Yeah, I believe they're the UFL now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
okay.
So I think The Rock is still a prominent, Dwayne Johnson, The Rock, he's still a prominent member of the organization there. So I'm not too sure what's going on there with the UFL. I know Arlington won the championship for the XFL.
Yeah. Everybody don't talk about that.
Yeah. It didn't get enough attention. Arlington went all the way. And it's actually pretty cool hearing, like, the city of Arlington. It's always the Texas Rangers or the Dallas Cowboys. This one's the Arlington Renegades. And so that was really cool to see. But they haven't come close to it since, I think. I'd have to go back through the statistics and stuff. But we're actually seeing a lot of players from the UFLs or XFL. They're getting drafted by NFL players. And then the NFL actually took their kickoff rule, where you couldn't run until the ball reached a certain yard line. I believe it's the 35. And then, so it makes kickoffs a little safer, but there's also a better chance of, somebody returning it there, which we've seen Kevontae Turpin for Dallas do multiple times this year. So for Arlington, the Renegades should be off to a good year, but I don't have too much knowledge on it. I wish I did.
And they season, I think their season starts up in February.
Right. And then wraps up about June, July, somewhere in there. So, that's the time where we need football, too. Like college football now goes all the way to, like, January 20th with the new playoff. And so, that's always when it sucks. It's like March is like, there's no football.
Yeah.
Baseball's barely starting yet. There's spring training games, I guess. So, having football in March, man, that's a smart marketing there by the people over there at the UFL. But the scary thing is a lot of organizations have tried it before, like the USA Football League or the USFL, and they just never seem to pan out. So I have my fingers crossed that the UFL makes it. It's just a more interesting type of football. There's like 3-point conversions you can get. So, knock on wood, I really hope they make the distance.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. Because a lot of organizations just haven't before.
No.
So.
Right. Yeah. Then, do you follow like high school football?
I need to look at it more. It could be a future, career opportunity. I did get a chance to call with a good friend of mine, Jason Hawley. He does some Bowie High School football. So I did a game there. I got to call a touchdown because I was normally through the whole broadcast I was like the secondary guy, also known as the color commentator. And then he was like, I'm getting a little tired. You take over doing the play-by-play, and it was down the sideline, touchdown for Bowie. It was a blast, man. But I think, I went to Martin High School here in Arlington, so I kept up with them. They went 3-7. They were bad.
Class of 2021.
21. Yep.
I'm class of 2011.
Oh yeah, that's right. You were before me.
Yeah.
But yeah, Martin didn't do very good. I think Lamar or Bowie won that district. It's pretty much all of the Arlington teams and then the two Grand Prairie teams, South Grand Prairie, and so that's pretty much the only division I kept up with. I'm sure you have actually, North Crowley defeated Duncanville.
North Crowley. Damn, Cordon. I forgot my school, Dunbar, they have a football team.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much, it'd be wild if a high school didn't have a football team, especially in Texas, the Friday night lights. But yeah, North Crowley, they defeated Duncanville. That was the whole, 2-1-4 versus 8-1-7 battle. That was fun to see. There were a lot of fights in the parking lot. I kept seeing that on TikTok.
Yeah,
it was a big rivalry.
Why do they do that?
I'm not too sure, man. I guess people just get so riled up over football. I love it just as much as the next guy, but I don't think I'm punching anybody if they don't like my team. I don't know. That's just me, at least. But yeah, some people just get really passionate about it. Not much more of an explanation than that. But yeah, the Texas High School playoffs, they're going to be a lot of fun this year. They're right down the street, too, here in Arlington, most of the time. There's two sections. I think they play in Houston, in the Texan Stadium for the schools closer to Houston, like Katy and such. But all the North Texas schools meet in AT&T Stadium. So it's normally a lot of fun to watch. My team just hasn't been there for a while.
So, before we go, what time is it here?
I think we reached 12:50, maybe? 51, there we go.
Okay, before we go, so you graduate in May, right?
Right, May 9th, I believe.
So, what's your plans after college?
So, I still got to put the demo reel together. You went through that whole process. I got to get the demo reel together. And, but I've made some connections. I mentioned I did my buddy Jason's high school football game there. There's several people like my good friend Marshall Wolf and Todd Cuff. They used to work, or Todd did, not Marshall, but, they were just students at UTA, and then the UTA athletics department ended up just having a job opening. And so I'm keeping my eye on UTA athletics, just seeing if they need maybe a social media guy or just somebody to run the scoreboard. There's so many little jobs in sports that are a lot of fun, stress-free, and so that's what I'm really looking towards. But I had an internship this past fall at Sports Radio 96.7 The Ticket. They were a big station, I believe number one when the Cowboys were really getting the season started. And those guys were a lot of fun to work with. I was on the midday show, The Invasion, and they always said if we ever have something open up, we'll let you know. So that could be an avenue I go down, but that's out in Dallas, so a little bit of a drive for me. But it was a lot of fun getting that internship, getting that experience.
Yeah.
So it's just about making connections right now. I can't tell you exactly where I'm going yet, but it'll be in sports. There's no doubt about that.
So you considering also going for your master's?
If necessary. If we can avoid that, let's do that. But, I've had my fun with school, I think. I'm down to my last one.
What you're going to do.
Right. And I also don't know what I would study with my master's. I guess communications. I don't know if they have a broadcasting master's. That's what my bachelor's is in, at least. So, but yeah, we're knocking on the door, man. I'm excited. Hopefully we'll do this again soon. Before I graduate, and even after. I still live in Arlington regardless, so I'm never too far.
Yeah, season 2 will be kicking off in March. So
all right. There we go.
This for season 2.
Yes, sir. There we go.
Because I need a 2 months break from it.
Oh yeah.
God be
and especially, spend time with family, man.
Yeah.
A break is always worth it. Yeah. I have one. UTA's out of town for a bunch of stuff. So I'm going to be relaxing. I'm going to be with family too. Yeah. Please enjoy your break.
Yeah, because it's been real. I've been doing this since May. So
right. Hey, good job, dude.
So I think it's like probably 90 or 100 episodes.
Oh yeah.
Sure.
Dude, you're grinding, man. It's incredible to watch, man. You're gonna be big here soon.
Yeah.
Don't worry.
Keep people out just because I posted on my story there. I'm saying I'm just taking a long break so I can figure out what my bitching for season 2.
Oh yeah, no doubt.
I'm not gonna stop doing it.
No.
I know it could get overwhelming because it's just me and I don't have no team, but it's just how it goes. So.
Well, you have all the stuff here. You got your phone, you got the tripod, you got the studio, man. That's all you need. It's just you got the drive, and it's fun to watch. I've done it twice now, and it's always a blast, man. And especially when I get to talk about what I love, man, the sports.
Sports.
So this is always a blast. I think you're going far. Dude.
Yeah, what we call this a lifestyle podcast.
Oh yeah.
And I like to mention God because I know some of y'all like, oh, you a Christian? Oh yes.
Oh, me as well. Oh yeah.
Yeah. You know I don't lead God. And you're a respectful young man.
Oh no, you as well, dude. Oh
yeah. He know because I know I have a couple of guests. Like when I tell them not come on the podcast cussing, some of them would abide by their rule and some of them don't.
Oh yeah, I think that was just from my radio background. Cuss words are always a big no. I pretty much don't say them outside of media too. It's just not big on me.
But I really appreciate you for being on this episode.
Oh, dude, thanks for the opportunity too. I promise it won't take this long next time. Man. So I only have 4 classes upcoming.
Season 2, and this is going to be a pendant for season 2.
All right, here we go.
Yeah. So tell them what they can find you on social media.
On Twitter at Jett Nelson or Twitter/X at Jett Nelson 3. We still have a whole baseball and softball season coming up, as well as the wrapping up of both men's and women's basketball. So that's where I post all of that stuff. I did have a bit of Mav Media stuff on my Instagram at JettBN14. So that's where I post a little bit of sports stuff, but that's more about what I do outside of work, though. So that's a bit of my personal life there, too. So, please follow me. Sometimes I'm the only one who finds the post-game interviews for UTA Athletics, and so there's a lot of great content there, absolutely.
Okay, dude. I'll check it out. So thank y'all for watching this episode of Real Talk with Shawn Smith. Be sure to catch new episodes every Friday on YouTube and subscribe to Real Talk with Shawn Smith's YouTube channel. That being said, y'all have a fantastic day and see y'all next time, the next episode of Real Talk with Shawn Smith. Bye, and y'all come back now.
All right.